down.
Speaking about a man who tumbles down, he stacks the pads, he protects the 5-hole. I was not Jason Myrtetus, Carter Hart. We saw him over the weekend. Jason Myrtetus is another goalie, but he's not Carter Hart-esque. But he is our goalie. He is the guy you hear. He does Flyers podcast. He does broadcast. He talks to the players. He talks to the animals. And he joins us right now on the Zoom feed. Jason, what's up, man? Are you excited? We have playoff hockey action, yo. Now, it starts tomorrow. I said the Flyers start Wednesday. The postseason, the playoffs start tomorrow for many of the other squads.
Yeah, I'm ready, Tone. The first 8 days with the play-in round and the round robin was incredible. Just like the theater, the 2 5 seeds, the 2 teams that were the host city teams are both sent home packing. They didn't have a far ride. But no, it was crazy. There's a lot of upsets, and the opponent that the Flyers will take on in the Montreal Canadiens upset the Pittsburgh Penguins in 4. So, yeah, it's been great. And now it's time to get the real playoffs underway. The field of 16 is set, and I can't wait for tomorrow night.
And the other thing is that the interesting thing is that the last game went to Game 5. And how about the Columbus Blue Jackets and Toronto Maple? That was a great series, man.
The 2 games prior, each team overcame a 3-goal deficit to win the game.
Yep.
The Leafs did it up against elimination in less than 4 minutes left in the game to tie it, and then Austin Matthews won it in overtime. It's been incredible, and it's crazy, Tom. One of the things we thought with all the sports coming back and hockey was, would the product be good with them being, not playing for 140-plus days? And you look at it, you go, this looks like playoff hockey. I know it's not a side-by-side comparison, but it was good. It was a lot of fun. And now's when everybody is playing for their playoff lives. So it's all on the line now. And you know what the war of attrition, the Stanley Cup playoffs are. It's a long, wild ride full of ups and downs and craziness. And the first round of the playoffs is always the craziest. So that's what starts tomorrow, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I was really impressed, Jason, and I know Tony was too, with the intensity of all of these games, like right from the jump. I mean, it looked like that these guys, weren't off for, 140 days or whatever it was, and they were able to create, that intensity in empty buildings, which I don't know that that's all that easy to do. I mean, that really impressed me. I'm speaking about all the series and all the teams.
Well, you saw it in the first game they played. The first actual game they played, Harry, was with the Minnesota Wild, and Zach Parise got in a fight 4 minutes into the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're going, are you kidding me? And he's not a fighter. And there was several fights. There was a lot of big hits. And the players that I've talked to have said, we hear when we watch it on television, we're hearing some piped-in crowd noise. They don't hear that. All they hear is an empty building. And there's a lot of chatter going on, obviously. And, these guys, the NHL did it right. My suggestion to them was in between the benches was to put the actual cup so they knew what they were playing for, and they didn't need the fans to kind of tell them. They did me one better. They put, instead of a center ice logo of the team logo, they put the cup at center ice.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you skate over center ice, you know what you're playing for, and that's the trophy.
And the other thing, remember, they were the first league that did this, and we've always been critical of Gary Bettman.
Yeah.
The NHL, even though we were ripping them when they were talking to guys in Phoenix, and it didn't look like they had any clue, they have 0 coronavirus positive tests. So they got the bubble thing going right. The NBA has the bubble thing. They had a couple of blips earlier. Baseball's been the worst so far, obviously. We don't know what's going to happen with football. But you got to give the NHL credit. They went up there, and guys who like to go out and have a cocktail and like to go out late night, with the boys, if they've been doing it right, man. It's incredible when you consider it.
Well, the league did a tremendous job. And you're right. It's shocking because anytime the NHL has had to deal with a labor issue or something, nothing's been of this magnitude, they've dropped the ball on it. And Gary Bettman's tenure, every time there was a CBA up for negotiation, they had a stoppage or they even lost a season. So that's the shocker here, that not only did they come together on the return to play scenarios, money, and all that stuff, but they also extended their collective bargaining agreement to give them labor peace through 2026, which is that's maybe the most shocking story other than the pandemic of this year is that the players in the union and the league with Gary Bettman and Bill Daly did a tremendous job in finding a way for this to return. You're right. Over 7,000 tests again this week in week 2 inside the bubble. No positives. They had no positives when players were still returning home during training camp in phase 3. It's tremendous the buy-in they've gotten from the players, and that this bubble theory does work. It's working for the NHL, it's working for Major League Soccer, and it's working for the NBA.
All right, now biggest surprise thus far there. Would it be the Flyers for the way they ripped through their round-robin tournament, or would it be one of the 12 seeds?
Like Arizona's got to be one.
Yeah,
of the
these lower-seeded teams.
I picked Arizona.
You
Yeah,
did.
I like Arizona. But there's some teams that you just weren't sure about what they were going to do in goal, and you look at, a team like Edmonton, who got bounced, was a 5 seed and got bounced by the Blackhawks, who had no right being in the playoffs. And that's a bit of a shock to me. But they didn't get good goaltending from Mika Koskinen or from Mike Smith. But the biggest shock to me has got to be the fact that the 24th seeded team, a 31-9, so basically a 31 wins and 40 loss team in the Montreal Canadiens, beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And Pittsburgh had nothing for them. They looked disinterested.
Yep, you're right.
And I think what it says, though, and look, Price was great in game one and stole that one, but he didn't have to steal the rest. Pittsburgh got outplayed. And to me, what it says is the credit card bill is finally due on the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're old. They don't have assets. They don't have young players. And unless they win the lottery tonight with a 12.5% chance at Alex Lafreniere, the decline is going to be steep.
No, you can see it. You can see it. And Crosby takes the beating all the time. He's one of the most incredible players in the history of the game. Not a big guy. I mean, Lindros used to take the beatings too, but he was a big guy, so everybody knew it. But Crosby's been unbelievable, but you could see it in the last game especially. He looked like he just wanted to go home.
Mm-hmm.
They really
I don't think he needed to shower after the game.
Yeah, and again, that's not a knock on him. I think the whole team was flat. That to me, and the Rangers in their series looked like they weren't very interested either, sadly.
Well, yeah, Carolina just crushed them, and I picked the Rangers in that one. Shows you what I know. But yeah, I mean, I hope the Rangers didn't even unpack the suitcase, because 3 games in 4 nights, and they were sent home. They weren't a very good team. I just thought that maybe they could do something, but you're right. I mean, the biggest shock to me, though, is when the 24 ranked team that would have had no business being in the playoffs except for this scenario takes out a team with Stanley Cup pedigree like the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the way they looked in doing it. That's the biggest takeaway for me.
All right, now, Jason, here's an outrage. Now, we're talking great things about hockey, but I got to rip the draft tonight. At 6 o'clock tonight, you mentioned Alex Lafreniere, who's obviously another young superstar in the making. But how is it that the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Edmonton Oilers, or the Toronto Maple Leafs, 3 really good teams, and obviously you mentioned Pittsburgh's on the downward side, but Toronto's got young players. Edmonton's got young superstars. How is it that the teams that didn't make the playoffs are not in a position to get the number 1 overall pick?
Well, because that's the way they do it every year. Teams that don't make the playoffs, they have a lottery. The Flyers moved up from 13-2 a couple of years ago to draft Nolan Patrick. Now, it doesn't always work out right away, and I think Patrick's going to be good. It's going to take time, but that's the way it is every year. But the outrage here, and I get it, is that there are teams that had 86 points in the regular season, were definitely ticketed for the playoffs, end up getting bounced, and they get the opportunity. But
that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the bad teams who don't make the playoffs don't have a shot. I'm saying you can have a situation where a Toronto or an Edmonton gets the first pick.
Right.
I mean, Edmonton, even though they lost, you look at the players at Edmonton and Toronto.
But technically, Tone, they didn't make the playoffs. This is
I
technically the playoffs is the field of 16, and they didn't make it. So, but you're right. I mean, look at Edmonton. They've had 3 number 1 overall picks in the past 8 years.
Yeah,
and they get McDavid, and they have. They had Taylor Hall. They had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Toronto had Austin Matthews as a number 1 overall pick. The Rangers had a number 2 overall in Capo Caco last year. So, look, and Pittsburgh, we know the luck they have. As soon as Mario's going down, they win the lottery after a non-season, by the way, and pick Crosby in that 04-05 year where they lost the season. So, it doesn't look good, but it happens every year. There's teams that move up. Look, it's tremendous theater. Look, I hope the kid ends up in Minnesota and playing for the Wild.
But we already have the conspiracy theorists, the frozen envelope, not the frozen pucks, not the frozen 4.
What, that it's going to Pittsburgh?
That Pittsburgh or the Rangers win the lottery tonight.
And they might. They all have a 12.5% chance, right. But you know this, Tone, and it's fun for radio. There is no way any league would fix a lottery, because if it was found out, it would ruin the credibility of the sport forever. And if hockey did that, they don't have that flex. They can't earn that back. That would be ridiculous.
Who's picking the envelope tonight? Pierre Maguire?
Well, he might be now that the Penguins are involved.
Mike Milbury will pick the envelope.
Milbury.
Yeah, Mike Milbury would be the perfect guy to pick the envelope.
All right, well, let's look at some of these series coming up. Which one really stands out to you that you say, I could see the lower seeded team really making it difficult on the higher seeded squad here?
Well, there's a couple that really kind of popped to me here, and I'll look in the Eastern Conference first. You look in the Eastern Conference, I look at Carolina as a team that's going to be taking on Boston. Carolina just dispatched, obviously, the Rangers really quick in that round. And I look at them as a team. I keep devaluing them because I don't like their goaltending situation. But Boston didn't win a game in the round robin, and they just look out of sorts. They had 9 guys that had to rest because of possible exposure at one point. So I look at that. I look at that series and I go, you know what? Carolina is a team that could upset the Bruins and knock one of those top 4s out. When I look at the other series, in the Eastern Conference, it's weird because so many of these you just want to go chalk because the top 4 teams didn't have to play for their lives in the first round. Can the Blue Jackets give it again to the Lightning like they swept them last year? I don't think so this year, but I didn't think so last year.
Yeah, but the Hedman loss,
I think, can upset the Capitals.
We saw the Hedman loss on Sunday with the Flyers against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's a huge loss. No Stamkos, they knew, but now Hedman. That to me gets the the Columbus Blue Jackets in play in that series as a live dog, I think.
Yeah, and Torts is going to have that team ready to run through a wall with their hair on fire. That's what he does. So, yeah, I think the Islanders can upset the Washington Caps. I wasn't particularly impressed with the Capitals in the round robin either. And that's, former coach versus his former team, Barry Trotz. And I don't like the coach of the Caps at all. I don't like Todd Reirden even a little bit. In the West, though, I think the St. Louis Blues might be in a little bit of a tough situation here, too. I like the Vancouver Canucks. I think they have one of the most dynamic young players in the NHL, and Quinn Hughes, I think he's going to be the best defenseman in the league within 2 years. I like their goalie, Jacob Markstrom. I think he should have been a Vezina finalist. I think that's a team that may give the Blues, who looked a little shoddy, too, in that round robin, an opportunity to really kind of push them. I don't know if they'll win their series, but it'll be tight. I don't think the Coyotes have a chance against the Avalanche at all. And Calgary's another team that's pretty interesting. I think Calgary could be they could pull an upset here against the Dallas Stars. I just don't know what the Stars are. So I look at Calgary a little bit. I have some value there as well.
Yeah, that Calgary series, Winnipeg, that got chippy early, man. Those two teams do not like one another.
Well, that Matthew Tkachuk is a bastard on skates. He is in everybody's head, just like his old man. I mean, everybody's always worried about Matthew Tkachuk instead of worrying about what they need to worry about. And that's where that kind of player really pays dividends. He plays on the edge. 2 guys got hurt for Winnipeg in that series, too, Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine. That's a big factor.
Two of their best players.
Yeah, they're 2 best players. Yeah. Great, best scorer and their best center in Scheifele. So, that's a team in Calgary. If the goaltending holds up with Cam Talbot, they could give the Stars all they can handle. So it'll be interesting to see if Goudreau and Monahan and that group can move forward.
So 4 games on Tuesday. They get underway tomorrow. The other 4 on Wednesday. Hockey action. We, even though we're homers here, and I got to love this young Flyer team. The stats were, I said it over the weekend, watching this team play, not just this weekend, is that you're seeing young players, many that fans don't even know who they are, doing all the damage while the guys that they used to have to rely on, other than the goaltender, obviously, Giroux and
Couturier, Voracek. Yeah,
Voracek. Those guys weren't invisible, but the Flyers always needed Couturier, who's played well, but they've always needed Voracek and the captain. Those guys always had the target on their backs. They've got to play well or this team has no shot. They have to play better because their power play's been wretched, and yet they still managed to get through this first round. And Montreal's going to be tough because the Canadiens, Carey Price.
Yeah.
Carey Price is, right? He is Carter Hart's idol. He is Carter Hart's.
I think he's a lot of young goaltenders' his idol.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was talking to Carter the other day on Flyers Daily, and he finally got the chance to meet him. He played against him, but he had never met Carey Price. He had a chance to meet him, and he was kind of like geeked out about it, like a fanboy a little bit. Like, I got to meet him, talk to him, and it was his boyhood idol. He modeled his game after Carey Price. They're very similar in their efficiency, in the way they technically, attack the position, very calm. You see the effect of him, Price being his idol on his game. And it'll be interesting. It's an interesting goalie matchup for the goalie geeks out there. They're going to love it because both of these guys are a lot of fun. And, to beat the Canadiens, you're going to have to beat Price, and you're going to have to put a lot of traffic around him. You have to disrupt him. If he sees it, he stops it. It's real simple. The clear-sighted shot from the blue line is a waste. That's playing pitch and catch in the backyard with your kid, with Carey Price. You're not going to score on that way. So you're going to have to You're going to have to put the puck into precise spots, and he gets into guys' heads because he's so good. He gets into guys' heads more than any goalie in the league. They think they have to be perfect, so they try the extra pass or they try the perfect shot and they shoot it wide. That's the thing that you got to be simple with Price and just, like they say, Har, get pucks to the net and bodies to the blue paint.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, people are suggesting on the Twitch stream that Jason Myrtetus rips me when he's on the air on the radio show. And I'm saying that's not possible.
No, I can't. That's not true.
No, I tried to explain it's not ripping. He plays homage to you.
Oh, yeah, when he does little imitations or whatever. Yeah,
that's an homage to Tony Bruno, not a rip of Tony Bruno.
That's a stick tap to Tony Bruno.
Right, exactly. Stick tap. Let's keep it to hockey terms here. Nice.
I'm not one to rip.
Yeah. And I see some people are saying that I'm out on this conversation.
Exactly. Harry's locked in.
I'm the one who set it up.
You're damn right he did.
Jesus. I'm like talking to him yesterday. I'm like, we got to get you on. We got to talk hockey.
Yeah,
we got to get you in. We got to get you in.
I got to get one of those shirts, Har.
Yeah, you like this?
I'm pissed off.
There you go.
That's not a good shirt. That's a phenomenal shirt.
And it's got a Harry Mays autograph on it, too.
TonyBrunoShow.com. That's where you get it.
I'll get you one.
You know what I say about that shirt, Har?
What?
Beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
We have
one of those. There's one of those.
Yeah, we have it.
You got to go to the Tony Bruno Show. Go to TonyBrunoShow.com, the store. Everybody's got to have a store now.
Right.
We need some new ideas for sure. We need some hockey shirts.
It's all about merch.
It is about merch.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Well, I got to visit the store. I got to dress up my set here. I just got a bunch of goalie masks and sticks.
I like the sticks in there. I like the sticks. You still got you got the puck. You got the residue on there, not clean sticks. So those are game used, right?
Well, half of them are broken, aren't they?
Well, they're worn out. I wouldn't want to use them in a game because they're compromised is the way I'll term it.
And a lot of masks.
You know all the rage about mask wearing, Tone, so I always have my mask right here.
Oh, there it is, baby.
That's beautiful.
That's a nice one now.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It is. By the way, you still got the old Bernie Perrant style back up there.
Yeah, with the little Flyers logo up top there.
Yeah, that's old school up there, man. That's a Bernie mask from back in the 70s, bro.
I'm
stuff.
not wearing one of those and getting in the net. My head's in the danger zone all the time at my height.
Wow.
My head is barred down, Tone.
Beautiful, man. Jason Myrtetus, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you have a Tony Esposito type mask
No, that's
up
a
there?
Richter up there.
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking if you have one of those old school like Esposito used to wear with the Blackhawks.
Oh, I'd love to get one.
How about the Jerry Cheever?
Jerry Cheever
with all the stitches on there. Yeah, you got to have one of those, man. Jason Voorhees used those later in all the Halloween movies, I think.
Well, that'd be Friday the 13th, but yeah.
Friday the 13th, yeah. I get those slasher
That's
movies.
Mike Myers.
Confused. Right. It's great Mike
Not
Myers.
Not Phil Myers.
No.
Get your psycho straight, Tony.
By the way, you got to give up love to the Flyers' defense.
Right.
Phil Myers, I mean, remember last year, everybody was screaming about these defensemen and they were ripping all these guys. Now they got a really good group. To me, the weakest link right now is Niskanen. He's the only guy that seems to struggle occasionally out there on the blue line.
Well, he's a guy. I think some of the veteran players had a hard time getting their intensity level up for these round-robin games. To me, you look at a lot of the guys around the league, it was younger players that were getting off in these games more so than the veterans. And you brought up Giroux and Voracek. Those guys got to be there, though, those veterans. And Niskanen's, he's the top-pairing defenseman with Provorov. He's got to be a monster for this team for them to have success. Provorov already is and so well-conditioned. But you're right. They have great defense now. And, the question is, do you put Ghost in the lineup or do you keep Robert Haig out of it? Ghost looked really good in that game on Saturday.
Great Saturday.
2 apples.
Hager? The Hager?
Yeah, Hager.
Yeah.
But Ghost had 2 apples in the game, so
jeez.
You may have to insert him in the lineup.
Oh, boy. All right, well, you talk about teams sleepwalking through the round robin. Do you think that's basically what Boston's issue was, or are there deeper things at work?
I don't know. They're old, Har. I keep bringing up this. The young players got off more than the older players. They have 6 players over the age of 30, one that's 43 in Zdeno Chara. I just wonder if those bodies are back. You know what I mean? The older players, I think, take longer for the hands to get in sync with the head, with the feet, and everything clicking. For young players, they're just young guys, and they just go out and they do it. And a lot of the young guys are like hockey nerds too. They're probably stick handling in their garage while the older players were changing diapers and doing crap like that. So I don't know. The Bruins, to me, looked a mess. They looked a mess. And when they tried to ratchet up their intensity, they still look like a mess. And when
they put Raskin in that last game, I mean, he still wasn't 100% ready to go. And so they threw him in there to get a game in. But you're right. I mean, Rask is still going to stand on his head, though, once they start playing for real now. Obviously, they wanted to be the 1 seed, but I don't think it really matters at this juncture, does it?
Well, look, in theory, you get an inferior opponent because they're going to reseed after every round. That's in theory. But we've seen 8 seeds win the Cup. Back in 2012, the LA Kings did as an 8 seed. Flyers went to a Cup final as a 7 seed and in the conference final, they had home ice against the Canadiens, who were the 8 seed. So that is in theory, what you hope will happen, but it's not always true. It's about matchups too. So, look, I think Boston's a really good team. They're the only team to have 100 points this year. They won the President's Trophy for a reason. But are they a team that's going to be the team they were before the pause? Can they be that team after the pause? The Flyers look like the team they were before the pause that won 9 of 10 and didn't lose back-to-back games since early January. The Bruins, they look like a team that wasn't even ready for the playoffs.
The great Jason Myrtetus, he's got the masks up there. And no, he's not going to relive some of the great Bruno Missinelli crossover fights on the air.
I don't think so.
No, we're not going to do that. We have them on
Those
tape.
were already ruled out by the time I was working.
I think they were expunged from the.
Have they all been erased?
They were
audio
both erased, Tony, like an old school pancake reel.
Yeah, they went back to the audio vault and got rid of all those things.
Hopefully Jim from Cheltenham has those all somewhere on a cassette, on his Maxell somewhere in his basement up in Cheltenham. Hey, Jason, good stuff, man. Love talking hockey action, man. Dropping the pucks. We are ready for hockey playoffs starting tomorrow in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock start times on the first games now. No more noon starts, but 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Still good.
That's still good.
Yeah.
Gives us something to do. Hey, Jason, really appreciate the time, man. Thanks for popping on with us.
Boys, thanks for having me. Enjoy the playoffs. Stay healthy, and we'll talk soon.
There he is. Let's give him a roaring round of applause, Aaron.
At Jason Myrt, M-Y-R-T on Twitter. And you look at these schedules, Tony. I mean, they're playing every other day.
I know.
Okay, and, maybe light practices, the days in between. There's probably not a whole lot of time for these guys to do anything but hockey and sleep and eat.
Well, there was in the round robin.
Right, but now it's changed.
Because people say, well, so far, now they're not going to have time to do anything.
No, I'm looking at the Flyers schedule. It's Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
And then once the NBA starts, hopefully they're not going to do